That one thing done picking up after this guy. What's hit me, I really haven't been keeping up with my book, so I think it's story time, but I've also been neglecting a lot of my chores in this yard, so I'm gonna get that done. Get some chores done and I'll get on this book. Let's go. Alright, I'm gonna wrap that up for now. I woke up some bees, so I don't want to get stung. Look at this guy goes crazy over there. Hey, get over here, you're gonna get stung. Anyhow, on to the next one. I just gotta clean this one. I got me a little magnet, so she's put those up. Gotta come in, you guys. Does this work? Or is it making a lot of noise? It's getting a little toasty out there. It's 60 degrees outside right now, but it feels warmer than that. So I said I'll take a break right now, work on my book a little bit because it's already getting warm and getting a little tired. So see what I can whip up to eat. All right, decided to go with some good old menudo for breakfast. I know it's 11 o'clock, so it's not really breakfast. It's still breakfast for me. Shoot, I'm tired, remember? Anyhow, another one of my go-to breakfasts, menudo. I love this stuff. Anna, you love this too. My granddaughter Anna, she loves it. She loves menudo. She loves it. So decided to warm that up, eat that for breakfast. I know it's a big can, but I can eat this twice today. And then Anna will get home from school and I'm sure she'll have a bowl of it. You can critique it all you want, but I like it. I like it. And I will tell you something. I'm gonna say maybe 7 out of 10 times, this stuff is better than restaurants. can almost guarantee you that. And I'm a menudo person. I love menudo, and I can eat it anywhere almost. And I'll tell you if it's good or bad. And even if it's a little bad, I'll still eat it. But if it's bad, I won't eat it. That's why I say 7 out of 10 times. This stuff right here, where it's at, fix it up right. A little bit of onion, cilantro. I don't have none of that today, but you fix it up with that, you're good to go. However you like it. Anyhow, I want to continue my book, My Grandfather's Life, for you kiddos. Next part of it is about my parents, my mom and dad. You know, it asks questions. How old were they when they got married? How old were they when they met? Where did they meet? Birthdays, all that good stuff. But so as soon as this warms up, I'll get jiggy on that subject about my parents. So my mom's name is Yolanda, and she was born July 27th, 1953, which is my birthday. Well, July 27th, I was born on her birthday. And my dad, well, his name is Nick, and he was born April 1st, 1951, I believe. Yeah, April 1st, 1951. So April Fools. Yeah, he's an April Fool's baby. Anyhow, my parents, they got divorced when I was real young. So I didn't grow up living with them together. So I mainly lived with my mom. And she was a single mom for a while. So I guess I'll start with my mom. Tell you about my mom. They ask questions about both of them, but I'll start with my mom, being that I lived with her and she's pretty much the one who raised me. Asking me now about how my mom was growing up. Now, like I said, asking me now, I look back and my mom, she was hardworking. She was very loving, very giving, very caring. Man, she just never gave up. She was going through some shit. She never gave up. I saw her, go through the divorce with my dad. Even though I was only 3 years old when they first got divorced. But of course, you know how divorces can drag on. So I remember a lot of that, and I gave it to her. She gave it all she got for us. There was 3 of us siblings, and she did all she could for us, and man, she kept it going. When my dad left, he left her the house. They had bought a new house together, and of course, back in the day, you could survive off of one income, but it was mainly the husband's income. So I don't even know what my mom used to do for work at the time, but all I remember is, she used to work a few jobs, just to make the mortgage and put food on the table. She struggled as a single mom for a while. As far back as I can remember, she worked at a woman's clinic, and I remember she used to mention like the back office, and I remember her working in the back office, and then after work she would go work wherever else she could. I remember one time she was working at Burger King, as a second job, and she would come home and during her lunch break and bring us, some Burger King sandwiches, either a breakfast sandwich or, the Whoppers or whatever. And back in the day, that was cool. It was a treat. We didn't know what she was doing. I thought, she just got a second job. She wanted to work at Burger King, so she worked there, and she knows we like it, so she went to get us free food. But now, like I said, now asking me now, man, she was working 2 jobs. We'd collect cans, counted pennies, but back then I didn't look at it as, man, we're poor, we don't have nothing. And my mom's busting her ass just to keep the roof over our house. I didn't think of it back then like that, but now looking back, yeah, she did what she did. She did what she had to. And I'm proud of her for that, and I thank her for that. I'm very thankful, because she taught me how to be a fighter, how to never give up. Just don't give up. I think she actually instilled that in me. It could be worse. We went through some stuff, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't, like, we never went to bed hungry. We never struggled like that, but I know she did work her ass off to get us through her single times. But I give her a lot of credit. Now as a parent, man, what you go through for these kids, what you go through to keep these kids fed, to keep this roof over their head, it's nothing that we complain about, because I'm not complaining about it, because I had my fair share of struggle as well, going through my health condition, episodes here and there. I went through my fair share, and then I had to figure out a way to bust ass and get through this life and, pay my bills. I had to figure it out, just like my mom did. So I give her all kinds of credit. I give her all the credit in the world. Being a single mom, raising 3 kids with a mortgage. She had a car too. I mean, probably wasn't of the year. I don't remember, because back then cars were car. It wasn't just, it was about what year it was. But, just paying the bills and raising kids on her own, 3 kids. That had to be tough. That's why I say I give her all the credit in the world. She's a good mom. As a kid, asking me how my mom was? I tell you, my mom was mean. She was strict. She never let me go anywhere. She never let me do anything. My cousins would always want me to spend the night at their house. She would never let me leave her sight. Man, it's like I had to ask for permission for everything. If I went too far down the street, she's coming out yelling my name. What, Mom? What? Stay over here, I can see you. Like a hawk. She watched me like a hawk. I couldn't do nothing. She was mean. She's just mean. Right, this almost done here. It's almost done. Anyhow, yeah, my mom was mean. She was mean. She used to keep her eye on me so much that when I finally went to junior high, she got a job as a bus driver for the junior high so she can keep an eye on me. As if it wasn't bad enough, my aunt was a school teacher at the junior high, so not only was she able to keep an eye on me from the inside, she was also watching me from the outside. So she knew what time I got off of school. She knew what time I was supposed to be at home walking through that door, and I couldn't do anything. So I went through 2 years of junior high with her, and I thought, high school will be better. That's where I'll loosen up and maybe she'll give me a little bit more freedom. But nope, I was wrong. She went and got a job as a bus driver for the high school. 2 different companies, but she went and got a job as a bus driver for the high school. So now she's watching me throughout high school. She's mean. Man, can I breathe, lady, please? Jesus. This is ready. Yeah, she was mean, all right. She didn't let me breathe throughout junior high or high school. And well, that's just the thing is, with my health condition, half the time I couldn't breathe. She was always keeping an eye on me, making sure I was okay, making sure I wasn't doing what I wasn't supposed to do. See, I'm with what my wife likes to call a rascal. I'm a rascal. I don't know how to sit down and calm down. And I like to do kind of off the wall, daredevil type, push my limit type of guy. I've always been like that, and my mom knows it, so she's always kept an eye on me. And for that reason, I think she followed me through junior high and high school so she can keep an eye on me. So yeah, back then she was mean. Now looking back, what better way to take care of your kid than to take care of your kid? And see, the thing is, I have to thank her because the high school I went to was known for its gangs, known for its drugs. It was a pretty bad high school, and I was determined to go to that high school. And at first, my mom's like, no, you don't need to go there. You know, even though my mom went to that high school as a teenager, she didn't want me to go there because of the school it turned into. And like I said, it was infested with gangs, with drugs. I mean, it was a pretty bad school. A lot of good in there, but still some bad. Well, being from a different neighborhood, going into a school which is in another neighborhood, she was worried. So she kept an eye on me, and I thank her for that, because not that I wanted to, not that I ever wanted to, but you know, she kept me away from the gangs. She kept me off the drugs. Not that I wanted to do drugs, but yeah, she kept me off of that. My brother and my sister, she kept us all clean and straight, kept us out of jail, prison. You know, she did good. She did real good. So now I thank her. But ask me back then about my mom. Man, she was mean. She didn't let me do nothing. I couldn't have friends. My friends would come over and ask if I can go out with them. And this was during high school. And she would tell them, nope. But I'll tell you what, you guys can come by in the morning and tell him how much fun you had. Because he ain't going anywhere. He's got to concentrate on school. He's got to concentrate on being a good boy, I guess. And it turned out all right. I turned out all right. Didn't go to jail. Didn't go to prison. Never did drugs. Never joined a gang. Was always just my own little rascal. Yeah, thanks, Mom. I really appreciate what you did for me. I really do. You know, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have learned of a lot of things that I learned about being a good parent. I mean that. Thank you, Mom. I love you. I gotta eat some of this. I'm getting hungry. About to get into this menudo here, my nice Dr. Pepper, nice, perfect breakfast. Anyhow, a little crushed peppers going on. Yeah. So, yeah, my mom did right. She did us right. Thankful. You know, another thing that my mom taught me was how to be a good husband. You know, my mom was, like I said, my parents were divorced, so my mom told me, you know, you need to get married and get married once. So that's what I've done. You know, she's taught me how to be a good husband. She doesn't really know she did, but she taught me a lot about being a good husband. She didn't teach me, but I learned from her. Explain what I mean by that. Let me get this and then we'll get into it. I came back out here to finish up and got real toasty. So I think I'll wait till this evening to get back at it again. And let's finish up my story out here though, about my mom and how she taught me to be a good husband without her even knowing. I learned from her. So go find a spot over here and tell you that story. The only way I can explain it, how she made me a good husband, is when her and my dad got divorced. I heard all the bickering she used to do about my dad, you know, the things he didn't do, the things he did do, you know, pretty much I heard all his mistakes. So I learned from that. I learned what not to do to get divorced. So yeah, when I got married, that's what I told my wife. I'm gonna get married once. So we're gonna love it out or duke it out, but either way, we sticking it out. So far, all love, baby, all love. So yeah, I thank my mom for that. You know, she also taught me to be a good husband because, you know, after her and my dad got divorced, after a few years, she remarried. Not after a few years, but eventually she remarried. And my stepdad, you know, he didn't have any children, so he came into the picture and started looking at us as his own kids, and which was cool. So got to learn, you know, what it was to have a dad at home. Because like I said, they were divorced when I was young. My mom and dad were divorced when I was young, so I don't remember living with my dad ever. So having my stepdad there now, it was nice, you know, having a father figure around. But you know, them too, they had their ups and downs like any other relationship, any new relationship. They were trying to figure it out, and Of course, my biological dad being in the picture, still kind of in and out, being a weekend dad. Between my real dad and my stepdad, hearing my mom talk about both of them, their habits, their ways, what made them a good man, what didn't make them a good man, I picked up on a lot of that. So I try to implement that in my marriage now. One of the things that I remember is my stepdad's family. In the beginning, I remember they were kind of iffy about it because of just whatever. I'm not going to get into their personal business, but they fought a lot about when my dad would go around, or my stepdad would go around his family. They didn't respect my mother too much or us too much. They were nice to us, but apparently they didn't give my mother full respect because she was a woman with 3 kids, single, recently divorced, what have you. And here my stepdad marries her and he doesn't have children. So I guess they somewhat disrespected my mom, and she would always tell my stepdad, hey, you can't, if we're going to be married, you have to respect me and your family has to respect me too. So she taught me, to always kind of hold my wife with the utmost respect at all times, at all costs, whether it's around friends and even family. You've got to always respect your wife. I learned that from her, because she always demanded respect, from my stepdad, and I don't blame her because she went through a lot with my biological father. So I guess everything she used to put up with my real dad, she wasn't going to put up with my stepdad. So she set her boundaries and she set her foot down and her rules, and I guess she pretty much told him, hey, this is how it is and this is how I want it. You're going to respect me, and bottom line. And so, I learned that from her, just to always respect my wife, always to make my wife number one, no matter what. There was times where I remember my stepfather wouldn't talk to his family because they had said something bad about my mom or whatever, and she would be like, no, I don't want to be around them because how they're going to treat me and how they look at me, and I'm not going to sit there and take it. And she was kind of hinting to my stepdad too, is, here, if you're going to go around them, you're kind of disrespecting me too, because you're going to go and listen to it and then come back and you're not going to tell me about it. So anyway, so I learned that, so if anybody has a problem with my wife or disrespect my wife, where they talk bad about her or not, I don't go around them because I don't want to hear it. And I don't want my wife knowing that I'm around people that talk bad about her and I'm sitting there listening to it, and I won't come home and tell her what was said. And there was times I remember my stepdad doing that, where he would go to his family's house and then he would come home and my mom would drill into him about what was being said. And of course, he's not going to stir the pot, and he just wasn't going to repeat anything he heard if anything was said. So they would start a fight. It would start a fight over what was said, what wasn't said. Was my stepdad telling the truth? Was he not telling the truth? So I seen how that made my mom feel. It made her feel insecure, because if somebody doesn't like you and your spouse goes around them, what are they telling them about you? Even when they question, well, where's so-and-so? Where's so-and-so? Oh, well, you're going to come up with some kind of excuse of they're tired, they had plans or whatever. So I learned that to avoid all that, to avoid conflict with your spouse, and bottom line, to just give your spouse the respect they deserve, is to avoid the people that disrespect her as well. Because that is making you disrespect them if you go around them and they're disrespecting her. It's like if the people that disrespect your spouse see you alone, it's like they're winning, because they know they've let you know they feel some sort of way towards them by doing what they do or say what they say behind your back, whether they do or not. But she taught me how to always respect my wife, and always put her first. So that's what I do. And so far it's working awesome because my wife and I have an awesome relationship. And I thank my mom for that. You know, she taught me how to treat my wife as my number one woman. Thanks, Mom, again. You know, and my dad, whew, that's a whole different ball game right there. Jeez, my dad he was in and out of my life. Kind of remember him as a weekend dad. Uh, his work and his work, I will say, just his work. His work was more important to him. Every time I would go to see him on the weekends or something, it was work. He was working on something, working on cars, working on boats, whatever had a motor, he was working on. It's getting a little windy out here. I don't know if you can hear me too good with my wind chimes going, so I think I'm gonna take this one inside. I'm back now by my dad. Now, my biological father, like I said, his name was Nick. I had a stepdad too. His name was Jose. So I'm gonna have to talk about both of them because they both were a part of my life. Now, my biological father, Nick, he was a car guy. He liked cars, he liked motorcycles, boats, anything fast, anything with a motor, anything with wheels, and pretty much anything that can be painted. He was a body man, worked on cars majority of the time, but he would paint anything and everything. Like I was saying, on the weekends I'd go see him and he'd be working on whatever, and of course, hey, help me out with this, help me out with that. And I was little, I was young, you know, so of course, man, come on, I want to play, and then he had a pool at his house. He also remarried, and he had a pool at his house, and I want to go swimming, to me, he was doing good. He was really doing good. You know, he had the toys. He's the one who had the off-road trucks, the off-road toys. You know, he had the guns, the bows and arrows. He had, he would take us, quadding on quads. Well, back then they were called ATCs, or the three-wheelers. So we rode the ATCs, and, he was working all the time, but then on Sundays, then that's what he would do, and, get together with them. But that was kind of short-lived because I remember I hated the working part, is going to see him and spending the whole day, watching him work. And then on the Saturdays that I didn't want to go with him, I'd just be home with my mom and Jose, my stepdad. And they were doing, the grilling, the barbecuing, they'd go out to the ranch, and, my stepdad was into horses. He was a cowboy, so he was into rodeo, he was into horses, and, barbecuing outside, like I said, cracking a cold one, listening to music, hanging out with friends and family. That was their lifestyle. And so there was times where I wanted to be with my mom and my stepdad because I liked that. I liked the barbecuing, I liked the music, I liked the dancing, I liked it. Then there was times I wanted to go ride the bikes, I wanted to go ride the ATCs, I wanted to go outdoors and go to the river bottom and go shooting, and go shoot, just do whatever we used to do. I wanted to be a part of my dad's life, but he was just busy, busy with work and building his life with his new wife and what have you. And, well, like I said, that was short-lived, and he ended up moving out of state for a while. He went to Pennsylvania, do whatever he did over there. Work. And I was here. I stayed back with my mom and my stepdad raised me and put me through school and what have you. And after so many years, my dad, he moved back, opened up his own business, his own body shop. And at this time, I was a teenager, so I had already entered into, I'm going to say, like, my rebellious years. I didn't care about him. I didn't care now, that he was back in town and he wanted to be my dad. And I was like, nah, I ain't got time for that now. And I basically I'm not going to say I used him, but if you want to look at it that way, because there was times, like I said, as a teenager, and I needed a job or something, so I'd go to him, hey Dad, I need a job, whatever. And he'd, all right, well, do this, do that, and he'd show me the ropes around the shop, whatever. And I don't want to get too much into that. So anyhow, yeah, I didn't grow up with him too much. My real dad, I didn't grow up with him. I worked with him here and there for a while. He taught me, a lot about the body shop business. Not about the business. I should say he taught me how to paint cars. He taught me how to prep them. He taught me how to detail them. So he did teach me that. He taught me a trade actually. So I know my way around some cars. So not quite. I'm not a mechanic, but I can keep my cars running. Put it that way. But yeah, as far as painting cars and anything that has to do with paint, pretty much, I took after my dad, and my dad also had a love for motorcycles, and I got that from him too. And I love motorcycles, love my bikes. There's a lot of things, and it's crazy in this world. Anyhow, long story short, he came back from Pennsylvania. He was working. I worked with him off and on for a few years, and didn't work out. He kept firing me every now and then. That was funny. Those are stories I'll tell later in my book. I still was thankful he taught me stuff, because even though he would fire me, I'd go to other shops and other dealerships and places and find work, and was able to keep, make a living. I was making a living off of what he taught me, so I was grateful for that. And fast forward a few years, he remarries. He remarries, and this lady has a son, and we're about the same age. And anyhow, his attention started going to him, and I'm sure not intentionally. It's just, well, he was remarried, and that was her son, and he lived with them. And anyhow, he kind of stopped talking to him after a while, because because his wife was getting kind of upset if he spent time with me or gave me attention, because then it was taken away from her son. Anyways, I won't get into that either. I don't care. Anyhow, so at the time I didn't care. I was like, all right, whatever. And after a few years or something, they ended up getting divorced, and he went on to another marriage. And seeing one thing about my dad is he was a Rolling Stone, and he didn't stay married too long. He was married quite a few times. As a matter of fact, I got some uncles, and their joke is, we didn't go to this wedding because we'll go to the next one. And it was true. There was always another wedding. It seemed like my dad would fall in love and fall out. Fall in love and fall out. I didn't get that from him, I'll tell you that. But after a while, his life, he started living a fast life, and I guess I don't know his details, but I'll just say he ended up in prison. Yeah, he was in prison for a few years, and at that time he was like, hey, I need you to do me a favor and write me a character letter and send it to me. My lawyer needs a character letter to see if they can shorten my time or whatever. I'm like, well, Dad, to be honest with you, I don't know you. I really don't know you. We were too busy working. I knew you worked a lot. You had me work for you a few times. Other than that, I don't know you. I didn't know my dad. I worked, like I said, I worked for him for a little bit. I'd go on the weekends with him and watch him work. Yeah, he taught me a trade. Yes, he taught me a lot of things. He taught me about ATCs. He taught me about guns. He taught me about hunting. He taught me about cars, motorcycles especially, but not so much as, hey son, let me teach you something. It was more of I just kind of learned as I watched. I watched him do things and I learned. And when it came to paint work, yeah, of course he taught me that. Showed me, step by step how to prep a car and what have you. So yeah, he did teach me some things, but then, so I really couldn't write that character letter, and I wrote just that. I don't know him. So wrote exactly that. I told him I couldn't lie. I couldn't lie. Well, while he was in prison, I wrote him a few letters, and he wrote back, and we were starting to I'm not going to say build a relationship, but as I was getting older, I was starting to understand him and understand why he was distant, why he did what he did as far as work. And I don't want to say neglect us, but parted from us. Especially me being young and having a health condition, how could you just up and leave like that? But I didn't, as I got older, I didn't have to ask him them questions because I started learning about life and learning about fatherhood myself. So a lot of the things he did as a dad that I thought were kind of messed up, I was also doing. So as a young dad, I told myself, I don't want to be like my dad. I didn't want to be like him. And it just so happened that I was becoming my dad. His habits, his work ethics. I just wanted to work all the time on the weekend, work on side jobs, work on just hustling, I guess, just hustling. And that's what he did. He just hustled. And I was turning into him. But as I got older and started to understand him more, or understand why he did what he was doing, I forgave him. I started to forgive him. I was like, maybe I do need to get to know him, and we need to get to know each other. So when he came out of prison, we started getting to know each other, and turned out, he's a damn good guy. He's a real good guy. Very giving, very loving, very respectful. And I don't know if he was always like that, and I just was blind to it. I just put on my covers on, oh, you're a piece of shit, Dad. You weren't a part of my life. Try to go that route. Never blamed him for the way I came out, because I didn't come out messed up. So I didn't blame him for that. And nor did I ever use an excuse as, well, I didn't have a dad in my life, so I didn't do this or I didn't do that. Nah, it's all on me. And anyhow, my mom raised me good too, so she did a good job herself. But so I started getting to know my dad, and we started realizing, man, he loved motorcycles as much as I did. He loved cars as much as I did. Dr. Pepper, his favorite drink, my favorite drink. It's a lot of the things we started finding out we had in common in the last few years. It's pretty, felt pretty good building a relationship with him. And then as soon as, we started building momentum on it, getting to know each other, in 2019, I lost him. He ended up passing away. So well, yeah, in 2019, I lost him. They said his heart just gave up. His heart just stopped. And prior to that, he had undergone some surgeries, some heart surgeries, and he ended up getting a pacemaker as well. And well, I'll tell you, that first year when he got his pacemaker, he wouldn't stop calling me. Hey, Anthony, when you got your pacemaker, did you feel this? Did you feel that? I mean, every little thing. And I kind of laughed at him at first. I'm like, Dad, yeah, you're fine. You'll be all right. It's just this, or it's just that. I don't like it. I don't like this shit. Neither did I. You know what, though? I had a lot of questions, too, when I got my surgeries, and I was scared. And I tried to be there for him as much as I could. Like I said, we were starting to get to know each other, and then I go and lose him, and it was tough. It was tough because I wasn't ready. I still needed to get to know him. Yeah, I wasn't ready to lose him, but it's God's plan. I can't change it, so it is what it is. Although I like to talk to him every now and then, just let him know how I'm doing, and of course he sees me. And to be honest with you guys, he's been here the whole time. It's his urn right here. It's my dad's urn. So yeah, although we didn't have a relationship and he didn't raise me, I'm taking care of him now. I'm taking care of you now, Dad. So thanks for teaching me all you taught me too. It's been a bumpy road without you, but I'm managing. You know, I think back of some of the times we had together and some of the times we never got to have together. It's life, I guess, you know, it's life. Could be worse. Could be worse. I'm glad I got to know you as much as I got to know you, and I'm thankful for that. Yeah, I'm real thankful for those opportunities I got with you. But anyhow, that sums it up. Pretty much sums it up about my parents. And you know, I didn't go into detail a lot about them and any stories, because in the book I'll be getting into detail and getting into some stories about them, so you'll learn about them some more there. In the meantime, just remember, whatever you're going through could be worse. Could be worse. Thanks for watching.